Congratulations, Carrie. Griffin, you must not have got the email I sent suggesting the Nick Pinchot Award, but and I didn't call you Grant either, but you know, that's all right. As always, next year. No, that was great. Thank you. And you know, today's a special day. We have to acknowledge that, but we also have to acknowledge how difficult this has been. We have a great turnout today, but I know we're missing people. We're missing people of all ages. And I think that's because of some trust issues and some past hurts that are understandable. And I talked to a few in-house guys during the meal, and I thank them for their courage. This is a big deal, joining this house at this time. And I think we as alumni need to support you and be here for you. And you have to support each other, because we have to get people back over time, and it starts today. But we need to tell people how great this house is. We need to tell people how great the president is. We need to tell people how great these new Beta Mu's are, and make sure they get the word. And today isn't enough. It's going to take a lot more work. But let's do that work together to get people back, to get them excited again, to get them committed again. And again, I just couldn't be more impressed with what we have here today. So thank you, Griffin. Thank you, Carrie. Congratulations. And to everyone who's here today. This is a big deal, and we'll keep moving forward. I'm next going to turn the mic over to Bob Schneezy from the General Fraternity, who's going to say a few words on Beta Theta Pi's behalf. Bob, could you come up, please?
Well, good afternoon, brothers, Beta sweethearts, friends of Beta, and guests. On behalf of the General Fraternity, greetings from Oxford. As Carrie said, the entire Beta Theta Pi Board of Trustees is here, and then we have some other folks as well. And I want to, I'm going to do a few things here, and then I'll make way for the ribbon cutting, and I know Scott Hayes has got to talk. So I'll try and be brief, and those of you who know me, it's very difficult. First thing I'm going to say is Pontifex Maximus. Pontifex Maximus. Anybody speak Latin? Good. I'll come back to that later. Just think of that. Pontifex Maximus. I would first like to just introduce the board for those of you who may not have met them, and I know that this is probably hard to see where they are, but we have with us the General Secretary of Beta Theta Pi, David Schmidt from South Florida. David? On loan from you folks here at Purdue, you all know that Kerry Ward is on the board. He's been a tremendous addition, and he's, I just wish he had a little bit of passion, because he just lacks passion. No, Kerry, we love you. We love having you on the board. We have Lynn Maddox from Georgia Tech, along with Ted Hale from Georgia Tech. You'll find out that I'm like Noah. We get board members in pairs. Scott Allen and Mike Kokinen, both from Minnesota, are here. We have Ben Swartz. He's a solo from UConn. We have Ed O'Malley here from Kansas State. We have Brad Kiesling here from Westminster. And finally, we have our newest board member, Mike Wortman from Nebraska. And this is a special time for all of us. The last thing in the world we want to do is close chapters. So this is a wonderful time. When we open a chapter or reopen a chapter, especially one with the rich tradition that we have here at Beta Mu, this is great. So we got our board meeting finished up so we could definitely be up here to help celebrate, and we are so happy to be here, and we appreciate you inviting us. A few things just about the General Fraternity. What is the General Fraternity doing? It's great to see that Griffin and the undergraduates here are using recruitment, and recruiting men of principle. 3.55 grade point average, that's impressive. That is very impressive. That's 29 members in this house this fall with that kind of grade point average. That's exactly what we want. The General Fraternity, this fraternity, and by no means the Board of Trustees does not take credit for this, but this fraternity, made up of 134 chapters and colonies at present, boasts a cumulative grade point average of 3.199, or 3.2 if you will, if you round up. Grade point average, that's the all beta average. We didn't talk about those things 20 years ago or 35 years ago when I was an undergraduate because we couldn't talk about those kinds of numbers. We talked about devotion to the cultivation of the intellect, but we didn't necessarily always walk that talk. Today we do, and in large part, and I'll talk about it a little further, but there's a reason why we do, and we've gone back to our principles. That's tops in the Greek world, folks. That's tops in the Greek world. So when people are saying, what differentiates you from other fraternities, I think that's something that we definitely can be proud of. We're also tops when it comes, we're either 1 or 2 when it comes to average chapter size. We're just a shade under 76 members a chapter. Now you guys are, on the high end of that, and with a house like this, why wouldn't you be? But again, average chapter size, not something that Beta Theta Pi would have talked about years ago or could talk about years ago. There's a reason why we're growing as a fraternity when in the industry, if you will, the numbers are starting to decline. And I think it's that we have something good to offer young men. There are roughly 9,900 and some change, 9,900, I believe 43 undergraduates presently within Beta Theta Pi, and with a strong spring recruitment, we should break 10,000, and I believe that Judd is for the first time. By the way, Judd Horace, Administrative Secretary, I failed to introduce him. He is here as well. But I think that'll be the first time that we've had over 10,000 undergraduates in Beta Theta Pi. Again, record year in 176-year history. And then, you the alumni. There's over 127,000 living alumni in Beta Theta Pi at present. And we count on you, not just to help us here with Beta Mu in this beautiful chapter, but across Beta's broad domain, whether it's in volunteering, giving time, treasure, whatever you can. But with that kind of army, and when we talk about here a Beta Mu brother who last time, or one of the last times he came back here, the windows were covered with newspaper and the chairs were turned upside down, and maybe he wasn't proud of this chapter. Those incidents are few and far between now. That's nice because we are principled men. Each year, approximately 2,000 young men go through a leadership program within Beta Theta Pi, and there are several. There's Keystone, there's CPLA. Obviously, we have convention. You have your undergraduates that attend that. The one that is really, I think, and it's not just me, but our flagship when it comes to our leadership programs is the John and Nellie Wooden Institute. Now, when you say John Wooden in this house, obviously that means something. Exactly, big time snaps. And it's special to be here because I am very passionate about the Wooden Institute. I am fortunate enough to facilitate that multiple times, and I have the last 2 summers. And you meet the future of Beta Theta Pi. You meet young men who want to become leaders, young men who want to make good decisions, young men that want to go back to their chapters and make good chapters better, make better chapters great. But it goes far beyond Beta Theta Pi. It goes into our communities, it goes into our state houses, maybe it gets to Washington, if we're lucky enough. But the point is that these young men, given the right tools, will and do make great decisions. And Beta Mu and Beta Theta Pi benefit from that, but the whole community does. And this program, the Wooden Institute, it doesn't come without the generosity of betas like yourselves. Now, we're currently in the midst of a Promises to Keep campaign, and many of you, I'm sure, have been solicited or received mailings or phone calls or been asked to even go out and talk about maybe what you can do to help that Promises to Keep campaign. I'm not here to plug, I am here to plug the PTK, but really what I just want to do is say that things like the Wooden Institute, they would not be available if we didn't have that campaign or the Beta Leadership Fund, which many of you contribute to. And if you do, thank you very much. And if you don't, please consider it, because to keep that newspaper and to keep those chairs, whether it's in this house or the other house, that's what prevents that from happening, is giving these young men great tools that they can go and work on their leadership. So if things are starting to turn in a house, and maybe not for the better, that there are enough strong young men who can say, you know what? That's not what we're about. That's not what we're about. That's not who we are, and that's not who we're going to be. So please consider it. If you've given, thank you. If you haven't, please think about it. I'd like to talk just a little bit about, a few people that I've met in this chapter today, or who I've met over my years, working with the board. First, I'm going to talk about a gentleman who attended one of those Wooden Institutes. I think everybody here knows Alec Funke, and Alec was in our Session 2 Wooden Institute this year, and Alec, absolutely won over everybody's hearts. This kid has got so much passion for Beta Theta Pi, and I'm sure everything that he does. But he was kind of the Pied Piper at Wooden Institute, and you should be proud that he's a member of this chapter. But Alec, we had a ball. I know you had a lot of fun, but this is why we work so hard. This is why we work so hard to raise money for that program, is so that young men like this can just spread not only his enthusiasm, but it's very infectious. So Alec, you really won over my heart, when we were in Oxford this summer, and God love you. I want to talk about the 3 M's. Everybody knows, I'm sure, who the 3 M's are. I was kind of brought into the 3 M's this afternoon. Jay's going to kill me, but Jay Merrill, Doug Meeker, and Bill Moss. This is, to me, the essence of what Beta Theta Pi is all about. So here's the 3 M's. These 3 brothers who all were in the same pledge class, lived here together, and either had grandparents, fathers, sons. I mean, there are 3 generations of the 3 M's, as I understand, that are Beta Mu Betas. That's what this is all about. I mean, that's what this is all about. Grandfather comes in, lives in this house and says, what a great place to live. Why wouldn't my son, my grandson? And when you have a beautiful house like this, I guess why wouldn't you, right? But to you undergrads, talk to the 3 M's if you haven't, because very quickly you'll realize that this isn't, they may have come here with the idea of Beta Theta Pi being a 4-year experience. It's a lifelong experience. And the 3 M's are a prime example of that. Beta, you don't get Beta taken away from you. You only take yourself away from Beta Theta Pi. And those experiences, far beyond your undergraduate years, you can come back and you can volunteer and serve in any capacity with Beta Theta Pi, or you can just spend great time with brothers that you all share not only a deep appreciation for this fraternity, but for just living right and kind of being good people, right? So kudos to the 3 M's. Last thing I want to talk about is John Wooden. Again, it's emotional for me to be in this house and knowing that this man, who we all hold so dear, I mean, he's a man's man. He is, right now he's sitting right, to the right of his Lord and Savior, and he probably has our Lord and Savior in awe. Every time I hear him speak, and when you go through Wooden Institute, you hear a lot of him, because John taped a lot of his, if you will, educational points, if you will, his speeches, those beautiful letters that he wrote to Nellie, which he recites, by heart. I don't know of a man with more integrity, a man who lived his life by principles better than John Wooden. But the fact that those principles were cultivated in this house, it's incredible. It's incredible for those of you who have lived here, and for those that you are living here now, and those that will live in the future. We all love that John, was a Beta brother, but to be a Beta Mu brother, that's extra special. And the Wooden Institute, like I said, it's a great program. And the Wooden Institute, for all intents and purposes, it started right here in this house. It started right here in this house. And we're still benefiting from it, nearly 100 years later. So thank you very much for allowing us, the board, to participate in this incredibly special day. Welcome back, Beta Mu. You're going to be here for a long time, and you have the bricks and mortar to ensure that that is the case. A real shout out to Carrie and the whole team that put not only this fundraising effort together, but this day, this planning. I know Carrie, it's like planning his wedding, I suppose, all over again, although I'm sure Carrie didn't do a lot with that. And then lastly, Pontifex Maximus, Pontifex Maximus. If you don't know Latin, and I don't, Pontifex Maximus is the great bridge builder. John Wooden was a great bridge builder. I aspire to be a great bridge builder. There are many great bridge builders in this room, but we all need to be great bridge builders as we take this great fraternity to even greater heights. So please, like I said, whatever you can do to help this fraternity, and it doesn't have to be your checkbook, spend time here. Spend time with these young men. Make sure that they're living the same principled life that you did and you expect of betas in the future. So with that, I am so proud to be a beta. I hope to be a better one, and thank you very much for allowing us to be here.
Thank you, Bob. We're going to get real ceremonial here real quickly with the official ribbon cutting. So I would like to ask Griffin Hoover, Bob Schneezy, and Carrie Wood to come up here. I think we've got the oversized scissors, I believe, hopefully. There we go. So we'll get a picture of this.
Wherever you want to cut, you cut.
All right. Thank you. To New Beginnings. And we only had room for 3 people. There were a lot of people that wanted to be up here. When John Laurie didn't make the cut, he got upset and he flew to Thailand. So he's just actually out of the country right now. But I think we had the right representation. Scott Hayes, yes, sir. Would you like to say something? Please.
I used to live here. I like what you've done with the place. Traditionally, Fraternal 50 talks about experiences that one had while living in the house. And I've thought about that a lot in the last few weeks. I think the statute of limitations has run on most of them. I can tell you that the most important thing that happened to me while living in the house is I met my wife here. This month we celebrate 47 years. I can tell you that when I got pinned, or when she got pinned, which I don't know how you're supposed to say that, but when she got my pin, it was announced after dinner upstairs in that dining room, and the Dean of Men was over here for a special occasion to have dinner with us. And the President of the House after dinner announced that I'd gotten pinned, and my pledge brothers tacked and carried me to the Wabash River. Mary Jane reminds me that was in February. Wow. That's an eye-opener. Randy Ellsperman, one of my pledge brothers, had me in a rather delicate spot, and was holding on and said, "Now we're not going to hurt each other, are we?" At any rate, approximately a year later, at a grasser, and what that is we had, when I was here, a pink and blue convertible bus. It was a school bus. We cut the top off of it. We painted it pink and blue. We built a rack to go over the top. We had a canvas to go over the top, and we used it to transport brothers to the co-rec for events. Back then, we were #1 on campus in sports. We won the All Sports Trophy 3 of the 4 years I was here. At any rate, about a year after getting thrown in the Wabash River, we're at a gathering, and I think there was another fraternity there, and I happened to be pledge trainer at the time, and the pledges wanted to get me, and so Mary Jane helped them. I have forgiven her, but at any rate, they attacked again and threw me in a river at that event. So my recollections of Beta Mu living, I was all wet. And I'll kind of stop there with recollections, and if I may, we have both new initiates and pledges in the House, if I understand it. Is that correct?
That is, yes.
Okay, to you guys, you are members of, or you are about to become members of, the best fraternity in the world. Fine speakers preceded me today, obviously, and the adages that I have not heard from them are, once a beta, always a beta, everywhere a beta. You new initiates are fraternity brothers of mine. I want you to represent me well, and I want to represent you well. You earn your badge every day, everywhere. My wife and I were here last Sunday, and Ryan, you did what every one of you guys ought to do when you see an old person like me. And I'm not old enough really to be a fraternal 50. I got initiated when I was 12. Ryan did what you should all do. He came up, he introduced himself, he shook hands, and then gave me that look of, who in the hell are you and why are you here? He then gave us a great tour of the house. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan. Right now, this group of men that live here, you're number one on campus in grades. You're obviously smart. What Bob Shanese just said a minute ago, and by the way, for my fraternal 50s, I understand that the General Secretary is here and the entire Board of Trustees. You guys didn't have to do that just for... I really appreciate it, and it's good to see you all here, and welcome to our house. And like I told Bob upstairs, when the General Fraternity